Morning peeps, good morning everyone, how's everyone doing? Hopefully you guys are all doing well. Don't forget hit that subscribe button. If you guys are new to the channel, don't forget as well to like and share the vids. They're drilling upstairs and it is really, really loud. Hopefully this mic is doing its job and you can't hear it, but if you can, apologies. All right guys, we didn't win the award last night. It was always going to be very, very difficult. I was in there with the heavy hitters of all heavy hitters. Mark Chapman, who is, I think, a fantastic presenter, won the award, and rightly so. He's done so many good things this year, but it was good to be in the room with all these broadcasters, journalists, writers, photographers, and it's motivated me even more to kind of take this thing that I'm doing to the next level. So yeah, we didn't win, slightly disappointing. One good thing though was a lot of sort of young kids came up to me. I was like, "Hey man, I watch your YouTube channel. I've started a YouTube channel. Thank you." And I got a lot of that last night, so that's really good. A couple of questions that a lot of them asked me was, what camera do I use to film with? And I was like, camera? I use my iPhone. They were adamant that I used the camera. And I guess the reason I'm going to explain my setup is for those of you that have a YouTube channel or want to start a YouTube channel and maybe think it's a bit daunting because it costs a lot of money to do a setup. It really doesn't. So I started my YouTube journey, or at least 3 years ago, I switched to just using this Samsung S8. That's what I used. And I downloaded an app on there. I can't remember what it's called now, but you can either just use the camera that's with the phone or an app to kind of make the camera a bit sharper. I think you can get these phones for like 40 quid. And I used a mic called a Boya M1 that plugged into that, and I put the mic on me. So yeah, you want to get started, you can use that. I upgraded, this is very quick guys, to a Samsung S20. Nothing fancy. Again, you can get these for 100 quid. Again, Boya M1. Right now I'm using an iPhone 14. So no digital camera. Yes, this is a bit fancy, the mic, but you don't have to do this. Like I do this because I think it just sounds a bit better, and I had the money to do it. That's it. If I didn't, I wouldn't have, and I would continue to still use the Boya M1 plug-in mic, which is 15 quid on Amazon. So yeah, no excuses. Get started. The setup doesn't have to be fancy. You don't need all these lights and stuff that I've got. You can literally just get going with your bedroom or your front room light and start making these videos. But yeah, it was good to see a couple of people there that watched the YouTube channel. All right, let's have a look and see what there is to talk about today. Gervonta Davis, Ryan Garcia, T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas is the site for April 22nd pay-per-view fight. I think I'm allowed to say that I am going out there for it. Obviously, it's a Showtime fight. They're taking everything, but there is going to be a few DAZN boxing shows on, I believe, the Thursday, the Friday, and the Saturday. I am out there for the Saturday DBS, so I'm very excited to get out there. It's a big fight. I'll be there ringside watching the fight then, I guess, right? I'm sure I get a ticket as well. But no, it'll be interesting to speak to both Tank and Ryan, and I'm not quite sure if any of the undercard fights have been announced as yet, but I'm guessing there's going to be a few Golden Boy fighters on there, a few PBC fighters. But look, very excited and can't wait to get out there. Diego Pacheco putting in work for Jack Cullen UK Clash. Yeah, this is the main event now, Saturday. I'll be up there for it. It'll be interesting to see what the crowd's like for it. Again, it's lost Callum Smith. What else was there? Robbie Davis Jr. versus Liam Parra's not happening. So it'll be interesting to see if people have either given their ticket backs or like, you know, let's watch a bit of boxing. But yeah, looking forward to seeing what Pacheco can do. He's so big. I think he's super middle. Massive. Honestly, massive. He's one of, when Matchroom went to America and started signing up these young prospects, he was the one. He was, I think, the standout one. There's a few others, but I think he's the one that I think is going to reach very, very big heights. I'll be shocked if he doesn't fight for a world title. So it's going to be a difficult fight for Jack Cullen, but you never know, man. Jack Cullen, good boxer. You never know what can happen. Conor Ben does not accept WBC's suggestion that eggs may have caused a positive test. I haven't yet watched the Piers Morgan Conor Ben interview. I did look at the numbers though. Bear in mind, Piers Morgan's got a massive channel. I think it's got nearly 1 million subscribers. The interview, and I just checked the numbers now. So as of right now, that interview has got 50,000 views. the reason I say that is because for us in the boxing world, this is a massive story, isn't it? It's a massive story. Conor Ben, he's going on the Piers Morgan show. And just outside of the boxing bubble, it's a non-story. It's weird. 50,000 views. Bear in mind, everyone else that jumps on that Piers Morgan show, million views, hundreds of thousands of views, 50,000, which is crazy. You know who I would have liked to have seen Conor Ben sit down with? People might think this is a bit wild. Simon Jordan. I'd like to have seen that. Simon Jordan would have really poked the bear and asked the questions. And look, that might happen. I guess there is going to be a time where Conor Ben does go to the TalkSport studios and sits down with someone, whether it be me, Gareth A. Davis, Simon Jordan, Adam Cattrall, someone. So yeah, I will watch the interview. We'll do a reaction to it, but I've not watched it as yet. I will say this though, some of the responses to that interview aren't great. So it's going to be interesting to see what was said. I saw a tweet from Chris Eubank Jr. a few minutes ago saying, before this interview, I was 99% sure that Conor Ben cheated. Now I'm 100% sure. So he's clearly said something in the interview to make people believe that he's guilty. I will watch it and give my own verdict on it. AJ posted a photo on his Instagram chopping down a tree, saying back to basics. Look, that fight's fast approaching. What are we, March 7th, March 8th today? April 1st. We don't have to wait too long for AJ versus Jermaine Franklin. I see a few people tweeted things about the ticket sales and it not being sold out as yet. I guess that's a reflection of where he is right now. I mean, this is a guy that's, again, back-to-back defeats. Maybe the opponent isn't what people wanted. I've always thought that AJ was the type of fighter that could fight me and sell out Wembley. Like, he had that kind of pull. Maybe he doesn't have that as yet, which is why this fight is so important, right? He's got to look explosive. He's got to look destructive. And let's see what happens. I do think it will be a sellout by the time it rolls round. But yeah, I'm like you guys. I'm slightly surprised that all the tickets haven't been sold. Again, this is a guy that does stadiums, now coming back to an arena. But I do think by the time it rolls round, maybe fight week, it will be sold out. But I can't lie to you, I'm always also a bit surprised. I hope there is some sort of behind the scenes stuff, and I'm sure there is, of AJ in camp with Derek James, because I would love to see that sort of interaction with Jermell Charlo and Errol Spence. I would love to see that. Bear in mind, those are two top dogs as well, right? Top dogs. One undisputed at 154, one belt away from being undisputed at 147. But back to basics thing. Obviously, like, I've been fortunate to have seen AJ in camp. I've gone to Sheffield and I've seen the setup. And I do wonder if he means back to basics in terms of just, you know, like some boxers, and I spoke to Derek James about this actually as well. Some boxers like to overcomplicate things. Like, you know, like me growing up watching boxing and sort of just hearing stories about training camps, it was almost just a case of hit the bag, do your road work, sparring. And obviously there are other fundamentals to add to that, but those were like the three basics. Hit the bag, get up early, do your road work, sparring. And I sometimes feel like maybe AJ has gone so far one side in terms of the technical side of it, the science side of it, and added so much more elements that maybe you don't need to it. So maybe it's a case of just peeling away a few things and just getting straight back to what he done when he first got into the sport. And don't get me wrong, AJ has taken it to another level in terms of sort of strength and conditioning and the science of stuff. But maybe it's a case of just getting rid of those things, you know, and just going back to basics. And I do wonder if that's why the picture of him hitting the tree is that, you know, like the old school ones of just logs, right? Remember, you used to see those in Rocky movies, like fucking, where's a log there and just smash the log. And maybe there is a bit of just doing that. But yeah, like, I look forward to seeing him be destructive. I think that's the word, destructive, come April 1st. And I think he will run through Jermaine Franklin. And if he doesn't, then obviously we have a problem. It's that simple. If he doesn't, like, I know people say just get the W. It's not enough for me with this fight. I think AJ needs to knock him out. The W isn't enough. I mean, look, he can get look, if he knocks him down like fucking 5 times on the route to a wide point, then okay, cool. But if it's close, Do you know what I mean? There's going to be questions asked, but look, I look forward to it. I guess I'm going to sit down with the big man in the lead up to it, so I look forward to seeing what he can do. Eddie Hearn, actually before that, Felix Sturm gelled. Jesus Christ, Felix Sturm. I think it's tax evasion or something. He had a comeback fight recently, didn't he, as well? Maybe that comeback fight was, obviously it was actually to generate money to pay to the tax man, but yeah, Felix Sturm gelled. And Eddie Hearn expects WBC to call Beterbiev Smith next. Yeah, they will call it. Smith is mandatory. Doesn't mean the fight happens next, but they will call it. I think it's very disappointing that Smith isn't fighting. I think I'm speaking to Callum tomorrow. So we'll find out what the reason or the injury is. But yeah, look, I'm still very much wanting to see Beterbiev versus Bivol next. And you know, it's getting to a stage where initially I wanted to see Bivol, Boatsi, and maybe Beterbiev have one more. No. Why don't we just go straight for it? What are we waiting for? Why don't we just go straight now? Bivol, Beterbiev. Beterbiev's willing to fight him. I think he said May or June. Bivol would fight him, I guess, May or June. Let's go undisputed straight away. What are we waiting for? Why do we need to see Beterbiev versus Smith? We don't need to see it. We don't. Why do we need to see, if it's not going to happen, Bivol, Boatsi? Don't need it. Let's go straight away to what we want to see, and that is the undisputed. Who is the main man? Who is the top dog at 175 pounds? Let's go. And if it is Bivol will 100% go down to 168 after he beats Beterbiev and fight Canelo. Obviously, providing Canelo gets past John Ryder, which I think we all think he will. All right, Robert Garcia says he doesn't regret making critical comments about Anthony Joshua. Yeah, I think Robert Garcia, he actually tried to dial back on this, but Robert Garcia, after the AJ loss to Usyk, I think he said something on a Mexican, I don't know if it was a podcast or radio station, about AJ's mental state, like his mental state not being strong enough. I think he said something like, how could AJ go from winning a very, very good round against Usyk, I think it was round 9 in that fight, and then going to be completely outboxed in the round 10. And also he said something about obviously AJ sort of picking up the mic after the fight as well. So he questioned AJ's mental state. And I think he said something about AJ being a bit lazy in training camp. I mean, if you're AJ, I know, look, you can expect trainers to be critical, but maybe not be critical to you personally. Like tell AJ to his face. Don't go onto a radio station and expose him like that. I've always said I think AJ, Robert Garcia would have worked. But if you're AJ and you hear that interview, it's going to be difficult to stick with that guy. It's going to be. So, yeah, Robert Garcia maybe messed up a little bit there. And hearing that, you can understand why AJ said, okay, let's find someone else. But yeah. Callum Smith here. I believe I finished 2023 as a 2-weight world champion. It's got a chance. I mean, look, I will 100% favour Beterbiev. When I say 100%, I mean I would always pick Beterbiev to beat Smith, but you certainly give Smith a chance in that fight. Smith's a good fighter, but I don't see it. I mean, that Beterbiev, it's weird how after a win, like Beterbiev beat Yard, stopped him, and after a win, people are like, oh no, Callum Smith beats him. I'm like, we watched two different things. So look, I would favour Beterbiev, Beterbiev. But no, for me, no. Callum Smith, good chance, but not good enough. Not against Beterbiev. Hearn, I believe there's a good chance we can get Taylor Cameron over the line. I hope so. I really do. Again, we made a video about this the other day. Well done to Taylor, who doesn't need to do this. Well done to her saying, no, let's keep the date, and I will fight you, Chantel Cameron, at your weight class. Come on, that's the thumbs up. That's incredible. Belanga to have at least 2 world level fights to build Canelo Showdown. 10. 2? 10. You need 10 world level fights to build the Canelo Showdown. All right, I'm exaggerating. 5. 2. And by the way, if he gets to 4th and 5th and he's not been stopped, I'd be very, very surprised. If he gets to the point where you deserve to fight Canelo, so you're fighting the guy that's number 1 or 2 below Canelo, I'd be shocked if you're still there. I'd be very, very shocked. And this is not me going too hard on Belanga. It's just I'm not convinced about him at all. At that level that we're talking, like the top level, not for me. not for me. But look, I mean, new promoter, new broadcaster, that might give him a new spring in the step. But I just think he's a bit off that level. By the way, the guy that broke the Conor Ben story, who writes for the Daily Mail, what's his name again? Reef? How have I forgot his name? Anyway, he won 2 awards last night. He won 2 awards, 2 of the big ones as well, for breaking that story in terms of, I think, being the writer with the scoop or something like that. He won 2 awards yesterday and done a really good speech about the fact that it was a difficult story to break and everything. So yeah, he got big plaudits yesterday. All right, let's have a look and see if there's anything that I might have missed. Let's go to Michael Benson's Twitter page. Okay, 2 secs. Oh God, Conor Ben has fired back about Chris Eubank saying, "I now 100% believe you're a drug cheat." Sorry, Conor Ben says, "You sat there trying to play the victim, but tried blackmailing me for £1 million. You shithouse." Nice. What's going on, by the way, with Usyk Fury? Anyone know what's going on with that? I mean, Usyk looks like he's back in the gym, but what is going on with that? Bloody hell, man. That looks so far off. It's scary. Anything else? Oh, this was interesting. I saw this yesterday. Errol Spence and Terence Crawford are reportedly now negotiating with each other directly over the phone and have agreed a purse split. This is according to Mike Coppinger. Spence versus Keith Thurman and Terence Crawford versus Alexis Rocha expected next, but progress for Spence versus Crawford in 2023. Okay. I'm done with that fight, bro. I'm done with that. All right, anyway, look, guys, we are done. Again, we will watch the Piers Morgan interview and we'll give our own honest reaction to it. All right. Peace and love.